The sequence of learning and practicing Iyengar Yoga, week 7. So a couple of pointers in terms of what our asanas are today. We will be looking at Sirsasana or headstand. I'm sure Sirsasana is a much admired posture. It has that kind of wow factor when you see someone standing on their head with their legs completely elevated in the opposite direction. And in a way, what is interesting to realize is that this asana comes only in the 7th week of practice. That means it assumes that the beginner has already gone through quite a few sort of sequence of asanas. And also we have worked on Sarvangasana before this. So what is important to remember is that Sarvangasana is what helps us to learn to lift our spine up against gravity. So now we are ready to kind of dip our toes into experiencing Sirsasana. So let us begin. And of course, if you have any kind of neck issue, any eye sensitivity like glaucoma or pressure problems, you can follow this video up to a point. I will put a marker till when the inversions begin. And then you can simply skip that and perhaps join in with the last set of poses. And if you are used to practicing, you can go ahead, follow the inversion sequence as well. So let us begin. Bring your fingertips alongside the body. Press the fingertips down. As always, lift the waistline. Roll the outer shoulders back. Bring the upper arms close to the side of the body. Keeping the lift and length of your spine, bring the palms of the hand. Let it rest at the center of your sternum. Softly begin to close your eyes. And we start with 3 Oms. Take a deep, slow, long inhale. Yogena chitasya padena vacham malam sharirasya chavaidakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram Shankhachakrasidharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Harihi Om. Take another deep, slow, long inhale and exhale. Maintain the lift and length of your spine. Gently lower your head down. Release the hands, place them back on your legs, and lift your head up. Eyes open. And we are going to start by coming into Samasthiti. So take a position on the center of your mat. Bring your big toes close together. Evenly press the bottom of your feet down. All the toes spreading. Press the heels. Take your attention to the lower leg. Bring the outer shin bones in. Draw the outer hips in. Move the frontal thighs back, keeping the buttocks in. Then lift both sides of the waistline. Roll the outer shoulders back. Extend the arms down towards the floor. Pause here, looking straight, finding your base position of Tadasana or Samasthiti. Observe the breath. Become more aware of the front of the body, the back of the body. Now from here, we are going to go directly into Utthita Trikonasana. So bring your hands in the center, bend your knees, jump, or you can of course spread your legs, you know that option. Stretch your arms out from the center of the chest. Let's turn the entire right leg out completely, turning the thigh, the knee, the foot. Turn your left toe slightly in. Press the outer edges of the feet. Lift the sides of the chest, lengthening the right side of the waistline, going down from the hip, go down till you're in Trikonasana. Keep lifting the left side of the body. Keep your left upper arm long. Move the right shoulder into the back and move from the right shoulder blade in, turning from the right to the left. Look straight. Now maintain the lift and length of your spine. Inhale and come up. Turn your toes in. Spread the chest. Stamp the outer edges of the heels. Turn your entire left leg out completely. Remember to press the bottom of the feet firmly into the floor. Turn your right toes slightly in. Again, pressurizing the outer edge of the heel, keeping that right outer hip in. Stamping the outer right edge of the heel. Lengthen the whole left side of the torso as you go down, reaching, bringing the hands down. You want to focus your attention to see that both sides of your chest, your torso are lengthening equally. Your chest is facing forward and you're lifting the top of your right chest up rather than going down towards the floor. Be heavy on your feet, meaning press your feet to maintain that lift of the spine. Now pressing into the feet, use the top arm. Inhale and come up. Turn your toes in. Bend your knees, jump, and come back to standing. Again, have a quick look, readjust your feet, pressing the feet down evenly on the mat. Bottom of the feet evenly down, shoulders back, elbows straight, observing the breath, looking straight for a few moments. Virabhadrasana 2. Again, bring your hands in the center, bend your knees, jump and spread your legs out. Stretch your arms from the center of the chest, turn your right leg out completely, turn your left foot in, hips level, chest level, tighten your arms, stamping into the back leg, start to bend from the hip again. Yeah, so we're always in this position. What is most important in these poses is to watch the position of the knee, not letting it go forward. Press your heel and turn from the right waistline to the left, right armpit to the left. Keep your left leg straight. Go down from the hip. If you can go down and you have a bit more mobility, like I'm widening my legs, go down. But see that your hip is not collapsing. It has to be up as you keep the legs steady. Lowering your hips is fine, but lifting the chest and keeping the back leg firm. Now press into the legs, come back up, turn your toes in. Again, I always check to make sure my feet are in line, so my hips remain in line as well. Now turn your left leg out completely. Turn the foot. The heel and the arch of the back foot is aligned in this way. Make your hips level, stretch your arms, keep pressing into the back leg, and again, from the hip, lower your left sitting bone down. Again, watch your knee, don't let it go forward, even maybe lift your toe to see that its weight is on the heel, and then lowering your hips down. Your left knee moves back, but your left hip turns to the right. Turn from the left side. Again, if you find your distance is a little shorter, go back with the back leg so you can lower your hips a bit more. But watch your legs. Knee back, hip forward. Keep the right leg straight. This is the back leg. Now press into the legs, straighten out your knees, turn your toes in, jump, and come back to standing. Couple of breaths here. Normal soft inhale and exhale. Now next we are going to do Vimanasana, which is similar to Virabhadrasana, but we are going to keep our arms wide. And once you do the pose, the next pose, again, that's another thing in Iyengar Yoga, the pose before helps us to go to the next pose. So there's a kind of sequence which brings us more awareness to a particular part of the body. And that part of the body helps us to go into the next pose. So I will clarify as we do the pose. So please bring your hands in the center, bend your knees, jump and spread your legs out. Vimanasana, you know here your arms are stretched out like an aeroplane's wings apparently. So that's why it's called Vimanasana. So please turn your right leg out again. Turn your left toes in, a good turn. Then spinning from the hips, from the chest, turning your upper arms. As you turn, try to resist your arm. Yeah, you want your arm back. You're turning the back of your thigh and you're trying to bring the back chest forward. So your left side is coming forward and your right side is going back. Expand the arms sideways so the chest remains open. Remember to keep your head back, keeping the back leg firm. Now go ahead and bend your front leg. You can go down to a 90-degree angle with your front thigh. At the same time, revolve your left hip forward, right hip back, left armpit forward, right side back, and spread the arms from the center of the chest. Head back, similar to what we did. Remember, our head wasn't forward, stays back. Great. Now, straighten your front leg, turn your chest around, turn your toes in, and relax the hands for a moment. So, quick check. See that your toes are pointing straight again. Lift the side chest, shoulders back, stamping the feet firmly into the floor. Vimanasana on the left side. Expand the arms out from the center of the chest. Stretch the right, the left. Turn your left leg out completely. Turn your right toes in. Stamp the heel. Keep the weight heavy on the right. Start to turn from the hip. Turn from the chest. Turn from the arms. By now, you know this rotation. We have actually done it many times through the previous sequences. Remember to keep your head back. The whole front of the body should be lifting. So from the pubic bone, lifting upward, chest open. Be strong on that back leg, pressing the outer edge of your right heel and begin to bend your front leg. Go down. See if you can go down low enough so your front leg is a 90-degree angle. At the same time, your right heel will have a tendency to come up. You have to really firmly press that outer edge down, revolve the thigh, resist the leg, and still go down. Turn from the chest, from the armpit, head back. Spread the chest. And now, keep the arms stretched out. Straighten your leg. So you can again turn from the chest. Bring your toes down. Bring your hands back and pause. Come back into Samasthiti. Pause here for a few moments. Normal soft inhale and normal soft exhale. We are going to the Parivitta Trikonasana. We are going to find the connection from Vimanasana, where we worked on turning from the armpits, into Parivitta Trikonasana. Parivitta means the opposite, right? So it's a turn. And Trikonasana you have done. So this is where the chest turns in the opposite direction. Instead of your right hand going down and touching your right leg, here your right hand goes across and touches your left. Now for that, it's always a good idea to keep 2 blocks ready. So I am going to get 2 blocks. Keep your blocks to your right side. Stand with your feet together, joining your big toes, taking your outer shoulders back. Once more, bring your hands in the center, bend your knees, jump and spread your legs out. Now from here, you can keep the arms stretched out, turning your right leg out again. So you turn your right leg out, you turn your left toes slightly in, keep the legs firm, and now start to turn. That means you have to turn from the back of the leg, turning from the armpits. Now, not only are you turning, you're also going down. So revolving the chest, you see, we are revolving the chest and going down. And then you have to decide where your hand goes. As long as the legs are straight, so I can go a little bit lower. I press my hands into the block so that I have my hands straight, and I use the top arm to lift the chest up. So all these parts of the body are going down, yet don't drop your hip. Keep the hip back and revolve from the abdomen, your chest, as you reach up with the top arm. If it is difficult to lift your arm and you find you're losing balance, bring your hand on the hip. Now look forward and reach with your arm and come back. Take your blocks to the other side. Readjust yourself to see that your legs are wide enough. Press into the heels. Spread your arms out from the center of the chest, turning your left leg out completely. Turn your right toes in. Stamp the heel, start to turn from the back of the hip, turn from the chest, keep a strong connection. Don't let your hip go out. Move that hip in so you're strong here and start to turn from your belly, your chest, and go forward. Reach with the arm and then see where your hand touches. If your hand can go across, that's why we had 2 blocks, you can place your hand here. But if you find you're rounding or anything like that, you have a chance to put your hand on the inside of your foot. Keeping your legs straight, pressing into the block. Now turn from the waistline, taking your hand here. You can reach your arm up and lift the chest up as you press down with the hand, turning your abdomen, keeping the legs firm. Look straight, don't throw your head forward, head stays back. Now lift with the top arm, look forward, inhale and come up. Great. So at first when we start this pose, if it's unfamiliar, it can feel a little bit challenging. So we will repeat it again. But as everything, it gets better with practice. So stand with your feet together, rolling the shoulders back, elbows tight. And actually, I'm going to do the pose now with my back to you, because in that way, you will also get a different feeling. So you can also turn your back to me, because then you can listen. And then when we face each other, you can observe and you can understand how the pose is done. So just turn your back to me, and then you're going to take your blocks to your right side. And you bring your hands in the center, bend your knees, jump and spread your legs out. Now turn your right leg out completely, turning your foot, your thigh, your toes. Turn your left leg and then start to turn. So your left armpit comes forward. Keep the back leg firm and then go forward. So as you extend, reach with the side, reach and then place your hand. So now your hand is underneath your shoulder. You can press into it. Now this is where the hip goes forward. So you have to draw that outer hip back. We've done this work in Uttanasana. Keep your legs straight. Now turn from the abdomen, turn from the chest. And if you can keep your hand on the hip as an option, or even use the arm to turn the chest. So we turn the abdomen and the chest. Keep the back leg firm and your head shouldn't come forward, stays back. Chest wants to come forward. Now, look forward, inhale and come up. Take your blocks to the other side. Come back for a moment to Uttanasana. Bring your hands in, bend your legs, jump. Good distance between your feet. Spread the bottom of the feet. Keep your head back, chest open. Now please turn your left leg out completely. Turn your right toes in. Keep the legs firm. Keep the turning of the hip, turning of the chest. Keep the spinning like we did in Vimanasana. Keeping your leg firm, pulling that hip back. Yeah, so we keep the stability and you spin and you turn your chest and you see where your hand goes down. You have to keep your legs straight. You can adjust your block, push your hand, and where does the turn come from? It's the abdomen. You have to bring your left hip back. You have to move the right side of the chest and the ribs and lift up with the top arm. Use the arm to lift your chest. Keep the back leg firm. Tuck the left outer hip in. And your head, chest turns. Now, from here, you can look forward, reach with your left arm, have it nice and stable, and then you come out. Turn your toes in, and then walk yourself back and come back into Uttanasana again. Pause here for a few moments. Normal soft inhale and normal soft exhale. So the next pose is Ardha Chandrasana. Remember, we did it in our last sequence. So we are revisiting Ardha Chandrasana, and it's kind of the second balancing standing pose to learn. So we're going to keep our blocks to our right side. And if you don't need blocks, you can do it without as well. So I'll keep the blocks so that I can use the block, and that makes it easy. So stand with your feet together. Bring your hands in the center. Bend your knees, jump and spread your legs out. Have a good distance with your legs. Extend the arms out, stretch out. Okay, sorry, wrong side. Next is Ardha Chandrasana. Bring your hands in the center, bend your knees, jump and spread your legs out. We're starting with the right side, so I'm going to take a block and keep it ready for myself so I can go to the right, a little bit of distance so I don't crash into that wall. So spread your arms from the center of the chest, turn your right leg out completely, turn your left toes in, lengthen the sides, go down to Trikonasana. Then from Trikonasana, go down to Parvatasana, stay low. You can use your block, you can grab your block, you can lift with the chest this time. As you bring your leg forward, bring your block in such a way so that when your hip moves, your hand is below that right shoulder. Then start to lift your left leg up here too. You remember in the previous pose, we were lifting our chest. So now you can lift your chest with the help of the arm and stretch your leg. So what you learned in Parivitta Trikonasana, which was learning to lift that chest with that top arm, stretching the leg, will help us here in Ardha Chandrasana. Now try to come down as balanced as possible. So what do we do first? We bend our leg, reach back. We are in Parvatasana. You can bring your block closer and then come into Trikonasana. I adjust my legs. Inhale and come up. Turn your toes in, jump, and walk your legs back. I slightly readjust myself because I want space on both sides. So I will move my block to my left and come a little bit to this edge of the mat. Bring your hands in the center again, bend your knees, and jump. Have a good distance into Trikonasana, stretching your arms, pressing the heels firmly. Turn your left leg out completely. Turn your right toes in, stamping, elongating the left side of the body going down, bending your leg, coming into Parvatasana. Keep the lift of the chest. Then you can take your block. And as you bring your right leg closer, move the whole torso forward. Remember, the block has to be underneath your shoulder. So that will help you when you straighten your leg to look at this part. Yeah, so this tends to collapse. So you have to see that you can press your hand to turn that chest, keep the leg firm, and lift the right arm up. The right leg has to stretch in different directions. So you are basically spreading like a star in all kinds of directions so that you stay centered. So your leg is tight, your leg is extending, your arm is lifting, and you're pushing strongly down with your hand, turning your chest. Now slowly, let's be controlled about this. Go ahead and bend your leg, reach that leg back, bring your block closer, straighten your leg, bring your hand back, and then inhale and come up. Good. Turn your toes in, jump, and come back into a standing pose, Samasthiti, back to the beginning. I think by now you must be quite tired, so we do a short Uttanasana. So take your 2 blocks if you need them. Stand with your feet hip distance apart, toes pointing straight. Take your attention to the root of the thighs. You always recede them back. Keep the toes stretching from the hip, lifting the front hip bones, looking forward as you go forward. Bring your hands, place them on the block, straightening your arms, the abdomen, the front of the abdomen. Lift your head up. The moment you lift your head up, the dorsal spine moves in. Keep the head lifted. Stretch from the chest forward. Strongly press your hands down. Keep both sides of your torso long. And then depending on however open your legs are, keeping your legs really tight, firm, spreading the back of the thighs. Go down from the hip. Again, we always go down from the hip. Keep the front of the body long, and depending on where your hands need to be, go down. If you can reach lower down, go for it, but keep the elbows wide so you stretch the sides of the body. Then if you want to go deeper into the pose, you can work your hands closer towards the feet, move your belly towards your thighs, then your chest, and fall a little bit forward towards the toes. Spread the sides of the body and let the crown of your head go downward. You let the head go. However, your shoulders have to keep lifting, counter. The abdomen has to grow long. The sides of the body have to be long. Press your legs. Uttanasana. You can even hold your ankles and spread your back, moving the abdomen in, legs tight, lengthening both sides of the torso. Now from here, keep the legs straight, inhale and come up. Padangustasana. So here too, if you can reach and you slip your first 2 fingers underneath the big toes, press the big toes down, lift up. So create this length of the front of the body. Most of the time, the front body shortens. So you are very welcome to use a belt. Remember how we used a belt? We slipped it underneath the feet so you can lift your torso up. So use that. Try to keep your head up, chest forward, legs straight, and lengthen the sides of the body. And again, if you're able to and you have your legs are not bending, go forward from the hip, pressing into the toes. You have to press your big toes and grip and pull. So that gives you that tension. Keep gazing forward. Don't be in a rush to take your head through the legs. Fall forward slightly towards the feet, toes side, and then keeping the belly long, take your belly down, your chest down, and finally the head down. Again, open the back of the knees, spreading the back of the thighs, lifting the shoulders away from the head, but letting the crown of the head go down. Stamp your legs strongly into the floor. Padangustasana, with the head down. Now slowly begin to lift your head up. Keep the arms straight. You can keep your hands on the hips, stamp your legs, looking forward, chest forward. Inhale and come up. Great. So that was quite a few of our standing poses. And now we are going to come down to the floor. And we are going to sit in Virasana. So you can take a block and I'll show the side view, but we can start facing each other. So you have the block flat like this. You can place it more on the back end of the mat. And keep another one close. Come into a kneeling position. So, and see that your feet, that's the inner ankles, hug close to the edges of the block, right? And then you can place your hands back of your knees, roll the calf flesh out, and then sit back into this position. Of course, if this is not possible for you, then you can sit in a simple cross-leg position as you did before. Another variation is if this either hurts your ankles or this is putting any pressure on your knees, you can try to raise your seat a little bit higher, maybe slide another block. And if that helps, you can continue. And if this is not uncomfortable, you can take any other seated position. However, Parvatasana is done in Virasana. So once you're there in the pose, now when we stand in Samasthiti or Uttanasana, I often ask you to move the outer shins in to bring your outer lower leg closer, and it gives you that lift. The same is true here. When you sit down and you focus your attention on this outer shin bone and you move them in, it naturally gives the support of the outer hip sockets, which helps you lift your waistline up. So press the tops of the feet down, hug the outer shins in. Now stretch your hands straight in front of you, like in Padangustasana. Take your right thumb on top of the left, interlace the hands, turn the palms out, keep the elbows tight, and with an inhalation, go ahead and stretch your arms up. Lift the sides of the body long. Keep your elbows tight. And like you did in Virabhadrasana 1, take your upper arms behind, opening the chest, opening the armpit chest, stretching upward, pressing the tops of the feet down firmly into the floor. Now release, change the grip. Your left thumb overlaps and then all the other fingers interlace. Turn the palms out again, spread through the palms of the hand, elbows tight, keep lengthening through the upper arms as you go up. Press the tops of the feet down, hug the outer shin bones in, stretch your waistline, stretch your armpit, stretch your upper arms, and keeping the elbows firm without throwing the head forward, take your upper arms back, opening the armpit chest, creating more movement on the upper dorsal spine. Now slowly release and bring your hands down. Next, we are going to go for Adho Mukha Virasana. So you can move your block out and sit on the middle of your mat. Your big toes are touching, and when they touch, please don't overlap them because then your hip also gets adjusted differently. Your knees are slightly apart. So if I sit facing you, you will understand this is my torso, right? I want my knees a little bit apart so that when I go forward, the sides of my torso are supported by the thighs. So that's the distance. So you may sit on the middle of your mat, big toes connect, knees apart. Again, the outer shin bones, draw them in, press the tops of the feet down. The pelvis is the root here. So we keep the buttocks down, lift the waistline, lift the side chest. Start walking your hands forward, stay slightly on your fingertips. I press the tops of the feet down. Everything from my buttock is going down in this direction, but you can use your arms to stretch and go forward. There will be a point after which you feel your hips are lifting. Please don't go beyond that. Keep your hips down, lift the abdomen, and to get further extension, especially when we feel our back is rounding or our head is dropping below the shoulders, this is where you have to learn to use the sides of the armpit chest. A very important part in opening our spine. So you can stretch and you will find that in stretching, the roundedness changes. So stretch your armpits long, keep the upper arms tight. Now lower your belly down, your chest down, and your head down. If it doesn't touch the floor, there's no issue. You can have the hands flat. This is not a very inactive child's pose. This is Adho Mukha Virasana, where Adho Mukha means you're looking down, and Virasana is because it is similar to the previous pose we did. Stretch the sides of the body. Lengthen the spine. It's an active pose. Evenly press the palms of the hand down. Keep pulling your hips back. Keep pressing the feet down. Observe the breath. Spread your shoulders, especially the upper arms. Inner upper arms are, your inner shoulders are lifting, your outer shoulders are rolling down. Armpit is stretching. Now from here, walk yourself back up. And then from this, we will go into Adho Mukha Svanasana. And this stretching our armpit, chest, keeping the arms strong, all kind of relates to the next pose. So we position ourselves differently this time on our hands and knees. Position the hands directly underneath the shoulders, your knees slightly behind your hips, so that the whole length of the torso is free. Press the hands firm, tighten your elbow, look forward, keeping the back ribs in. Start to curl the toes under as you press the hands, move your hips back, keep looking forward, start to lift your knees, straightening your legs. Now take your attention to your elbow joint, lift the elbow, have a quick look to see the index finger thumb is pressing. Now like in the previous pose, Adho Mukha Virasana, can you stretch your armpit area? Move your armpit, not your head, in the direction of your chest. Resist your upper arms, press down with the palms of the hand. Have a quick look at your feet to see your toes are in line. Pull up the thighs muscles to the hip socket and move the outer thighs back. Spread the back of your thighs. Abdomen soft and breathing. Now from here, we are going to go directly to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. That is upward facing dog. So start looking at your hands, start keeping your legs tight, move your pelvis down, but resist your legs. Your legs should be straight. Lower your hips as far as it will go, and then press your hands to lift your chest. Same thing, you need to take your head back, chest up. Straighten the leg, spreading the back of the thighs, extending. Let's do that once more. Now press your hands, lift your belly up, and go into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Arms straight, legs straight, upper arms tight. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Move forward, keep pressing your hands, press your toes, lowering your hips. As you come forward, your head goes back, your arms straight, your legs straight. Stretch your inner ankles, inner knees. Lift the back of your thighs. Remember, our work in Virabhadrasana, one back of the thighs rolling and lifting. Now press the hands and lift your hips up again. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now look forward, lower your knees down and come down. You can do a short little rest here. And now lift your head up. Now we are going to move to some seated poses. And so you can get a belt and you can get a blanket. So my blanket and belt is very close, so I just bring it. I'm here. We're going to start with Dandasana. And if you don't need any height and you can sit easily on the floor, then sit on the floor. I've just used a small lift for my sitting bones. Otherwise, I want as much contact as possible, so the back of the thighs are pressing down. Sit with your legs straight. Let's keep our feet hip distance apart. Firmly press the thighs down. Stretch your inner legs long. This is very important. Your little toe side, don't drop it. Point it up to the ceiling. Bring your hands close to the sides of the body. You can bend them or keep them straight. Press down. Dandasana, stretching your inner legs. Pressing the back of the knees down. Toes pointing up. Lift the abdomen, lift the chest. The sacrum has to lift. The pubic bone has to lift, not go dropping down, and you have to take your outer shoulders back. Now from here, we do Urdhva Hasta Dandasana. So stretch your arms, keep stretching your inner legs, press the back of the knees, and with an inhalation, go ahead and stretch your arms up. Use the arms to lift the sides of the body. Again, focus your attention, stretching your inner legs, lifting the back ribs in. Now in Virabhadrasana 1, this upper chest is a bit like that. You have to see if you can move your arms behind your ears, moving that dorsal spine in. Don't puff from the abdomen. Abdomen back, thighs lift up. Yeah, so it's the dorsal spine moving in, abdomen back, thighs tight. And then release. Bring your hands down. Now take your belt, or if you don't need a belt, then you can hold with your hands. I just keep it ready in case you need it. I can show you the position. Start by lifting your arms up. We are going to do Padangustasana in Dandasana. So you lift up, lift the back ribs up, keep that dorsal spine in, go forward. Try to resist your arms, yeah? So you want to stretch up. All this work we did in Virabhadrasana 1 is useful now. You can grab the big toes and you can lift your chest up. The focus here is, again, keep the upper arms tight, keep the sides of your chest. We've done all this work in all the previous poses. Enliven the sides of your armpit chest. Use the hands, gripping the big toes, pressing the feet into it, and lift up. This is also like we did Padangustasana standing, and this is Dandasana and Padangustasana seated. Dorsal spine in. Now try to see if you can keep your legs activated. Reach with your arms, and then bring your hands down. Next, we go for Uttanasana. So in this position, you will go forward again to your level. If your knees are bending, if you feel any lower back pain, please do less. If you keep to the basics of the pose, then you will have a good, helpful practice without unnecessarily hurting yourself. So now from here, next pose is Uttanasana. You can keep your belt ready. Press down with the legs. Reach up with the arms. Use the arms to lift the side chest. Go forward. In fact, see if you can resist your arms, not letting your arms go too quickly. Then there's a point after which you cannot go anymore. You can hold the outer edges of your feet, or you can put the belt. You hold the support. Stretch the sides of the waistline. Keep pressing your thighs down. Move your belly forward. In Adho Mukha Virasana, what was the first part which went down? It's the belly that goes down. Don't drop your head too quickly. Then you stretch your side chest. Stretch your side armpit. So these are the parts that need to go forward. Gaze forward. Keep stretching your legs. Lower your chest down. Keep the upper arms lifted. And then again, stretching your legs. Now, if you feel, you can keep your legs straight, pressing the thighs, lifting forward. Then you may take your head down. Try to look beyond your feet, lifting the armpit chest. And of course, please don't go deep if there's any tension in any part. Your shoulders should be moving towards your hips. Your elbows are moving forward towards the feet. Your chest is going forward and your head in line with the shoulders. Now look forward, straighten your arms, bring your hands back and come up into Paschimottanasana. Now the next pose is Janu Sirsasana. So we start by bending our right leg. So bend your right leg, move the heel close to the inner groin. I'm going to turn a little sideways so you can understand how the foot is placed. When you bend your right leg, the heel has to come to the groin, not across this way, yes? And your left leg remains in Dandasana. So often the way our feet adjusts our hips. So we have to keep our left leg straight and you bring your foot in and you lower your knee down. Now, if your knee is in a very high position, You can sit higher, and that will help you so there is no stress on your lower back. But we start, so I turn around so it's easy for you to see everything, both my legs and my back. So starting in Dandasana, stretching your inner legs, bend your right leg, hold the back of your knee, bring your right heel close to the right inner groin, and move the knee down. Press the right thigh down, bring your hands close to the sides of the body, stretch your left leg long, lift the side chest, reach your arms up, start to keep the right knee down, but turn from the right waistline, right side of the chest. This is also a little similar to Virabhadrasana 1, right? We were turning in the direction of the front body, bringing our left shoulder back, right shoulder forward. Lift up, chest up, look up, lengthen the sides of the body, keep reaching, see wherever your hands touch. If you cannot touch, you use your belt and lift your spine up. You can stay in this position. So keep working the knee down, turning from the right to the left, lifting both sides of the torso. Keep your legs straight. If you have the mobility, then go forward, keep the back long, do not round your back, lengthen the sides of the chest. Also take your awareness to the back of your left knee, press it down to lift that side of the chest as you go down. Elbows remain up, so there's a spreading of the armpits. Now inhale and come up. Bring your hands back. Let's adjust to do the left side. Come into Dandasana first. Feet together. Press the thighs down. Lift the chest up, looking straight. Now bend your left leg. Move the heel close to the inner knee. Your right leg remains straight. Focus your attention on the right inner leg. Make it really firm. Pressing that left knee down, chest up. Keep your belt ready if you need it. Reach up with the arms. Lengthen the sides of the body. Keep the extension. Keep the dorsal spine in. Go forward. Keep lifting, stretching the arms. And then drop your hands. Place the belt. Push the foot into the belt. Lift up. Work on moving your right knee down. Turn from the right waistline to the left. And the right side of the chest to the left. Your left side turns to the right because you're going over your right leg. My mistake, apologize. So turning from here, we are going towards our left side. So we turn from left to the right and go forward. You want to get your chest to go over your straight leg, which in this case is your right leg. Keep stretching your right inner ankle. That tends to shorten and the hip drops. So you have to make it straight and then again, keep the upper arms lifting so the sides of the chest lift as you descend your belly down, your chest down and head down. Janu Sirsasana. Now again, straighten out your arms. Look forward. Bring your hands back and come up. Let's do Paschimottanasana one more time. In fact, it's the repetition of the poses that starts to open our back more and more. So have your legs in Dandasana. If you can get your feet together and you have that possibility, you can do that. Otherwise, if your back is tighter, you have tighter hamstrings, please keep your feet apart. Yeah, so it's better. So lift the sacrum, descend your thighs down, reach up with the arms, stretch up with the sides of the body. Keep extending the inner legs as you go. Look slightly up. Don't let your head go quickly. Stretch forward. Reach with the arms. Stretch your spine like you did in Adho Mukha Virasana. Then grab your feet. Descend the thighs down. Elbows up. Belly goes down. Chest goes down. And finally the head. Keep your mind on your inner legs. Stretch your inner legs. Lengthen the sides of the body. Let your head release. Breathe in and breathe out. Paschimottanasana. The word paschimottan, paschima is in this case refers to the back of the body. So we all know you must be feeling quite a deep stretch on the back of your hamstrings. Even your back is getting stretched. And that's why it's called paschimottanasana. Now start to lift your head up. Straighten your arms. And then come back. Okay. So that finishes off our seated poses. Now, we are going to move in to first stage of looking at Shirshasana today. And if you want to skip this video now, you can just skip this section and just finish off with one more final pose at the end, and you can do your Shavasana. However, and you can also just watch. You don't have to do it. And if you are doing the practice, then we are doing the first stage of Shirshasana. We are just doing Ardha Sirsasana, meaning I'm just teaching you the arm action, and then we just lift our legs up and what are the key poses. So maybe it's a good idea not to do along with me. You can watch it, then you can pause, and then you can try. Because when I'm in a class, then I can watch you, right? And I usually do a demo before. So following along as I speak and you doing, you really don't understand. So it's a good idea not to do anything right now and just watch. And then you can maybe do along. That's one of the good things about having a video. You can kind of pace it, right? So yeah, I don't think these teaching methods were available. And in that sense, we are quite lucky to have that. So just watch this. So it's a good little demo, which will help. Now, if you have a blanket, it's a good idea. You can open the blanket and just place it on this edge, right? And you make it nice and smooth. So I use the edge of a blanket because it helps me to guide myself that my elbows are not shifting in any way. They are in line. So I start by understanding how the arm action should be. So I face you first. There's a clasp of the fingers. So when we clasp, you really want to press in, right? So there's a kind of movement inward. So there's a good firmness. You extend the fingers and then you get a good grip. So it's not a loose clasp. You really have to come and extend through the joints and then you clasp. Let's do one without putting the head down. So we understand the pose. So what are you going to do? You're going to have a good clasp. You keep a round end here. Yeah, so you see it's like a round. This is going to be the back of your head. I think I should come close for this. Yeah, so here is your wrist. Yeah, so you've got the clasp and you can all practice a little bit doing this together. So not collapsing here, keeping this and keeping the grip, creating a kind of semicircle. Now this is your forearm, right? So there's a lot of work is in the forearms because that's what contacts the floor. So I go back so you can observe. You stretch your forearms. You place your elbows on the edge of the blanket and then you interlace your hands like I showed you, keeping that semicircular cup. And then press your wrists down. Now, what you have to watch here in the pose, and you don't want your elbows to go out because this is something you have to stabilize. So that's why we have this blanket. Evenly press that middle section of the forearm down firmly into the floor. Now, you're going to come into this kneeling position. You will watch your elbows, have a good clasp, strongly stretch your forearm, press it down. And as you curl the toes under, we are not putting our head down yet. You press down and you lift your hips up. Now, what is important in the pose is that's why we stretched our legs before, is the openness of the hamstrings. And when you let your head drop, you don't have to drop it all the way to the mat. You have to be able to push down, lift the shoulders, lift your hips, and keep that dorsal spine in because we don't want our back to round in this way. Yeah, so that's why preparation is important. So you press, you move the dorsal spine in, you press your elbows, stretch your legs, opening the back of the knees. And this is quite hard work actually. And then come down. Okay, so you can practice that. Now let us also learn the position of the head. So the crown of the head is what has to go down. So this is the crown. And when you place the crown, you don't want to be in Sirsasana 1. You're not on this part. You're resting on this top crown of the head. So we are not going up, we're doing Ardha. So you place your elbows, you interlace your hand. That's why you create the cup shape. And you have to go down. So you can see my wrist is stopping my head from rolling. So it's like a break. I got the break. My wrist is pressing down. So it's holding my head in place. Then I press my elbows. And I can just learn to practice this, right? I can see what is it like to put my head on the floor. It's quite unnerving for many of us if you haven't tried it before. And what is it like not to have the weight fall, but to press the forearms and lift the shoulders? And that could be a great beginning. Okay, it's a lift of the shoulders, so the weight is not going to my head, and I'm pressing down. I'm pressing my right forearm, left forearm. That's the first. Now you can just stay here, practice this. If you want to go a little ahead, you can start to lift your knees, and like you did Adho Mukha Svanasana, you lift your legs up. Now, your legs need to be straight. Don't go forward. Keep lifting the shoulders. Your crown of the head remains. And you can practice walking the legs closer. So this depends on your flexibility. You have to press your toes, lift your hips, press your elbows. If you find your back is rounding, walk your legs further back, lift your hips. You can lift your heels, as you can see, so the spine stays long. Now bend your knees and come down. Okay, so that will be all for today. And then we will go a little deeper in the next class. Main thing, position of crown of the head. So you can now try on your own and making sure the forearms are resting firmly. Now it's time to do the finishing series, and that means it is the whole Sarvangasana. We're also going to add another support. So you know already how to do it if your legs don't touch the floor. For today, I'm going to take my legs down, and you know that you can use a chair if necessary. You can use the method of going against the wall. You can use the method being in the center of the room. I leave it up to you. And you know there are videos which explain the process. And by now, if you're practicing, you know the best method. We are going to do Sarvangasana. We're going to do Ekapada Sarvangasana. We are going to do Utthita Trikonasana. So that is new, and that is a new pose. So let's set up. You can pause the video here, go get your blankets. I will also do so, and we see you with all the props. So I've set up my blankets, my bolster, my chair. You can have a quick look, just do a check that you've done more or less the same. And then we are going to start with our whole Sarvangasana sequence. So you can sit on the bolster, you can lay down, see that you're in the center of your blankets, adjust, lifting the back of your head, letting the head go down, getting your outer shoulders in. You can press your hands down, you can pull your knees in and throw the legs back. Now, if your legs can touch the floor, you can go from here. But as I said, you can always keep your chair ready if that's not possible, especially when the hamstrings are tight. It's not possible to do that. So you'd have to move your bottom a little bit towards the chair side, because then we can lift our back. Then you can hold the side edges of your mat, tuck your shoulders in again, lift the back, and then place your hand on your back. So you see, I'm using my hands to lift my back and press the elbows down. Then you can move one leg back in and stretch that leg up. And you can go directly into Sarvangasana. So extend, keep pressing your elbows, stretching your legs, buttocks stay in. Tighten your knees, lift your back. That's why we have to take our hands a little low. It helps us to lift. We have to stay in these poses a little longer to gain the benefit. And that is one of the reasons we use these props, because it is very difficult to stay in these poses for longer without them.
Keep stretching your legs, pressing your elbows. See if you can hold it for at least 1.5 minutes to begin with. Keep stretching your legs so the weight doesn't go too much on your head. And remember not to take your legs towards your face. Your legs, your thighs have to move back, so you're more heavy on your elbows. Now let's do Ekapada Sarvangasana. So you can keep stretching your left leg, watch it, and take your right leg down as far as it will go. If you have your chair, you can even try and reach for the chair. Keep your opposite right hip lifting, lift your back. Keep stretching your left leg. The left leg has to be straight here. And then bring your right leg up. Stretch your right leg and take your left leg down. Please note, I'm going from the hip, keeping my leg straight. Lift the back. Again, adjust your hands as necessary. Press your elbows. Let's do that once more. Bring your leg back. Take your right leg down to the seat of the chair. Lift the thigh, stretch your left leg. Now lift your right leg up. Take your left leg down. Keep stretching your right leg. Lift the back. The back needs adjusting, needs tight. And now go up and stay in Sarvangasana for a short while. Now the next pose, we will go down to Halasana. So you can, one leg at a time, go down, and you can place your legs on the chair, and you can flex your feet and lift your back. Keep your hands behind. Now here, you can remain in Halasana if you're unable to take your feet down on the floor. Yeah, so don't go anywhere. Keep your legs straight, thighs tight, lifting your outer hips. If you are able to walk your legs down, so you can be in Halasana in this position, your feet are on the floor, you move your hips a little bit back so that the bottom rolls over, so there's a lift from the back of the body. Now you can spread your legs. This is Utthita Trikonasana, right? So this is a new pose, a new variation of the inversions, where the legs are spread and you still have to work on lifting these outer hips. Don't let them drop or your back go down. So you stretch your legs, lift your outer hip sockets, lift your outer hips, and stretch the back of the knees. Lift the sides of your body. Use your hands to lift your back. Now, you may start to bring your legs back, coming into Halasana again. If you're on the chair, that means I'll just show it. If your legs are on the chair and you didn't do this other pose, you simply bend your knees. You can press the tops of the feet on the chair and letting your knees go down. Let the knees separate in the direction of your ears and hold tight. That's Karna Pindasana. If your legs were on the floor, then you keep your legs apart. Let your knees go down. Move your knees to your chest and lift the back. You can press the tops of the feet and stay in Karna Pindasana. Now slowly take the hands out, hold your back, keep your knees close to the chest. Use your hands underneath your buttocks so you can come down. We have our bolster. And just again, we stay quiet for a few moments here. And now slowly, you can turn yourself around. If you've already got the setup, so many ways we can do Paschimottanasana, the final way.
If you're a bit more able to go down from the hips, you can stay seated. You can put your bolster and you can simply stretch your arms and let your forehead go down. Supposing it's not possible to go down, you can even tilt your bolster like this. So many ways to do the pose. So you can rest your arms, let your forehead rest, and be here in Paschimottanasana. This is the cooling part of the class. You have finished your sequence, but you want to quieten your mind so that you can get ready for your Shavasana. Now slowly begin to lift your head up, and you can move your props out, and you can set yourself up for your final Shavasana. So I just set myself up on the mat. I position myself in the center. I see that I'm centered. I extend. I go down nicely. Maybe even hold the side edges of the mat, rolling the outer shoulders down, keeping the chest open, and then slowly straighten your legs, relaxing the legs, turning the palms up and let go. And there you have finished week 7. So you can let go and be quiet for a few moments. Now you can slowly, at your own pace, you can also stay longer and ignore this. Otherwise, if you want to come out, you can open your eyes, bring your right hand, your left hand on your belly. Bend your right knee, your left knee. Gently turn yourself to the right side. Then use your left hand, press into the floor. Inhale and come up. Let's bring our hands to the center of the chest, having a sense of gratitude for all the teachers who have come before us, and because of which we are able to practice. So I wish you well, wherever you are, and thank you for practicing. Namaste.